Welcome back to the Bleav in Iowa State podcast with your host Tyler Carter.
And this is your host, Cody Van Lello.
Cody, we got a game in Houston today, but another big announcement today. The basketball schedule is out.
hmm Yeah, earlier today, at approximately 10 a.m. local time, the Big 12 Conference released the women's league basketball schedule. And then around like 1 o'clock local time, they released the men's local league schedule. So we're going to first take a look at the women's league. This is going to be an all encompassing for the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're going to mention Iowa State when we see them. So a few things that stand out to me is that New Year's Eve you have a standalone game with Utah, Arizona. And then obviously you backtrack a little bit. Conference play actually starts before Christmas, so Iowa State
Interesting.
will travel on the road to Stillwater to take on the Cowgirls.
This is interesting because you got also remember uh, that this is the same week the playoff starts. So hey, maybe we're in the playoff and you can watch Clones versus Cowgirls in the evening.
Maybe, yeah, like you might like there might just be like some sort of like watch party at Hilton or something like that. I don't know if they're gonna do athletics can do something like that, but it's a possibility. But we can skip over a little bit to New Year's Day. So it's gonna be the Wednesday, January 1st. There's a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good this is a solid slate I'm looking at right now. Obviously the thing that stands out for Iowa State is hosting Kansas on that New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Then just in that following week, I'm looking at down here, January 4th, you've got BYU at West Virginia, Texas Tech at K State. I'm looking out for this one because this one could low key be a bit of a sneaky game because K State is looking to be one of those top teams in the Big 12, and Texas Tech. It's going to be a little interesting for Iowa State fans because Texas Tech features two former Cyclones in Jalen Bristow and Danae Fritz.
Oh yeah, that's where Danae French went.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if you're looking out for some more Iowa State alum, Naimir Du is at grad school at Colorado, and they're going to take on Baylor. So Baylor is looking to be another one of those contenders to win the Big 12 along with West Virginia. Then on Sunday for the Cyclones, you're hosting Utah at Hilton Coliseum. Just going to scroll down a little bit here. Iowa State will then go on a bit of an Arizona road trip to take on the Sun Devils and the Wildcats.
So I'm guessing they're probably going to be staying out there until Saturday.
Yeah, they'll be there for a while, and luckily for them, obviously, due to it being like during like break, at least here at Iowa State, they'll get that a little bit leisurely. I don't know if that's the same thing for the Arizona schools, but at least for Iowa State.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
hmm Tuesday, January 14th. This is like the last week of break. Texas Tech coming into town to take on the Cyclones at Hilton Coliseum. So that's going to be a little bit of a family reunion, if you will.
Right.
And this is part of a back-to-back with the men. We'll get to the men in a little bit here, but obviously we want to get through this women's slate. Iowa State of West Virginia. Now this one right here I have highlighted because West Virginia looked pretty good in the NCAA tournament, and they were a top 4 team if I'm not mistaken in the Big 12. So look out for this matchup. And always allude to this: never a fun time traveling to Morgantown.
Never is, man. For men or women.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, you get a bit of a back-to-back at home. You host BYU, and then you host UCF. This is going to be the first week back for students, so you're going to get a little bit of a lot student section than in the earlier conference slate.
Yeah. The usually the home crowd will usually make it great though, especially the women's crowd.
Absolutely. Then after that, the Thursday, this is going to be the lone game of Thursday. You've got Farmageddon on the hardwood, the women, where Iowa State travels to Bramlage Coliseum to take on the Wildcats. Now, this one's going to be really interesting to watch. Obviously, K-State. I think we were just kind of the thorn in K-State.
But they were one of the top teams, and we just kept we I think we swept them last year, right?
Yeah, we did sweep them. We beat them at home. I believe that was an overtime game, and then we just took care of business again in their building. So that's great to see. Now, this game right here has been all over Cyclone Twitter. As soon as we already knew that they were gonna obviously we knew we were already gonna play TCU, but man, when it got confirmed what day we were playing them, it got even worse. Can you just tell me, give me the rundown of what you saw on Cyclone Twitter?
Man, y'all college students, dog, are wild. So basically, there's a picture of Haley Van Lith going around. The girl who was at the girl was at Louisville, who was at LSU, and she's very, very attractive. And all these college boys have their panties in a bunch because y'all are gonna be the dog pound, apparently. So this should be interesting.
I actually coined this term. I coined this. I said this originally in a reply, and then I co-tweet. I'm saying, yeah, for one day, we're gonna go from the Cyclone Alley to the dog pound, like the Cleveland Browns. I even said I might consider buying those. Those signs at Walmart that say "Beware of the dog," "Beware dogs." I might just bring one of those.
That's hilarious, man.
And then I gotta shout out this bird. Wendy Winners 69 said they were gonna dress up in a full suit and a ring pop and show up to that game in that outfit. they literally said that. And I know who runs the account, so it's even funnier for me. It's funnier for me because I know who runs it. But yeah, that's gonna be a fun. This is gonna be a fun game. This will be fun. After that, Iowa State takes on Cincinnati. Colorado at Iowa State. It's going to be another little bit of a family reunion. Hey, nightmare do. And then overall, Iowa State travels to Kansas. Now, in the past few years, Iowa State has not been able to win at Allen Fieldhouse against the Lady Jayhawks. So that's going to be something to look out for. If that's going to be any blemish on the ladies this year, it might be that game.
Yeah, that's been a house of horrors for them.
Yep. And then what sucks, we have to travel to Baylor. I really wanted to play a home and home against them after what we did last year, but it is what it is. And we travel to the bounce house, yeah. And then senior day, we get Farmageddon. This will be fun.
That'll be fun, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, and that's for the women's side of things. So looking at the slate here, I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of pretty good games, especially ones with Kansas, West Virginia, Texas Tech, and Baylor. But I think this slate is opening up for Iowa State to be like the front runner to win the Big 12.
Yeah, I completely agree. They're definitely going to be probably one of the top teams in the league, if not the best team.
Exactly. All right. Now we'll get to the men's side of things here. So conference play for the men actually start a little later than the ladies. So that's something to look out for. But Iowa State will start their Big 12 journey in Boulder to take on the Buffaloes.
It's a good start off. Colorado was a solid team last year in the tournament. That'd be a good challenge for us in conference to start off.
Mm-hmm. Something that was funny. Cyclone Larry put out a tweet taking a look at Cincinnati's start to the year in the Big 12. They're going to have a lot of fun because they have to travel to the Octagon of Doom.
Wow.
They have to host the Wildcats of Arizona. And then they're at Baylor. And then they host Kansas.
What a brutal stretch. Jeez.
Yeah, that is not going to be fun for them.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, for the men's side of things, yeah, for Iowa State, this is something that's gone on my nerves. This is like the second time in my 3 years at Iowa State that we've had Baylor travel to Hilton Coliseum during winter break. This is the second time.
Really? Baylor should be, at least when the students come back. That sort of irritates me.
Yeah, and it gets worse because, I mean, after you get Utah at Iowa State, which, I mean, nobody's really going to.
Nobody's worried about Utah.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about them. But what's worse is this one right here. This is ridiculous, Big 12. This is
Why is that
This is the week before students come back.
Like, why would you... did y'all not see the whiteout game?
Yeah, they did not see the ratings that game got. That was one of the best games on CBS.
I don't get that, bro.
And the atmosphere, everything about it was just special. and now you don't even have like the same feel because it's earlier in conference play. It's before all the students come back. Yes, I get it. There's a lot of Iowa State students that are from the Des Moines, Central Iowa area, but that it just does not hit the same without a full student section going at Kansas.
Not to mention, like this game was on a Wednesday. Like, really? These are probably gonna be two of the top teams in the Big 12, and you put that game on a Wednesday? Really?
Yeah,
I don't get that.
I don't know. That's something just I'm not too happy with. But then, well, for Iowa State, it's going to be a quick turnaround because that following Saturday they have to travel to Morgantown to take on. Can I just say the Drake Mountaineers at this point, or do I have to
Yes,
call them the West Virginia Bulldogs? Because
the West Virginia Bulldogs, Drake Mountaineers. Like, either way, you'd be right.
yeah, because you have both DeVries and I think a few other players from that Drake roster from last season.
Yeah, so that should be interesting to see how we respond to West Virginia.
hmm I'm really curious about that. And then you looking here that day as well. You also had the Sunflower Showdown. So
Yeah, depending on how K State is, that game will probably be on CBS.
yeah, that's early in the year for K State because around this time last season, they were still like they were I think still like in the top four of the Big 12. So
Right.
we'll see how they are this year, but that's for us to figure out when we get to that point. Then the first week back, that's all the students are back in classes. You have a game against UCF. Now UCF could be a little interesting. They gave us a bit of a run down in
That game
Orlando.
was stressful. Stressful. Like, man, like I was crazy that I thought we were gonna lose, but we came back and won.
hmm Well, maybe UCF learned from last year, and they're not going to slap the court asynchronously.
That's what a 10-0 run will do.
Yep. And then the men, they have their own trip down to the state of Arizona. Taking a look here, Saturday, January 25th, they have to play the Sun Devils. And then the only game on Monday for the Big 12 is Iowa State and Arizona. So this means that Big
Oh,
12
that
believes that
is
this is going
going
to
to
be a
be
marquee game.
cinema. That's going to be the 8 p.m. Big Monday game.
Honestly, depending on how my schedule is like that day, I might be. I know it's a Monday and I probably have class on Tuesday, but I'm definitely staying up to watch this game.
I will too. I'll have to take a nap with my old self, but yeah, I will be staying up to watch that.
Yeah. Saturday, February 1st. This day looks to be pretty solid. I
Oh,
mean,
this is tasty. Kansas at Baylor, Arizona State.
BYU and UCF. This is an underrated one.
Tech at Houston is too.
Mm-hmm.
And then Farmageddon. That's going to be a
Yeah,
great day for basketball.
absolutely. This is gonna be a beautiful day for Big 12 basketball. And then and once again, Iowa State gets featured on a primetime slot for the Big 12. They have to travel to Allen Fieldhouse. So this is kind of what we wanted to see last year, play the home and home against the Jayhawks. I'm glad we got it this year, but man, it sucks that the second game is at Allen Fieldhouse, whereas usually I remember my sophomore year it was the other way around.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna see the fall go have the game at the Fog. So I'm excited.
hmm Then Iowa State follows that trip to Allen Fieldhouse with the home game against TCU. Nice breather. And then they have to travel to UCF.
Ooh, wait, that was tough the last time. That's a underrated atmosphere in the Big 12.
Yeah. I mean, their first game of the Big 12, they upset the then like top 10 Jayhawks. So
Yeah,
look
that
out.
game was nuts.
All right. Following that, Saturday, February 15th, Cincinnati comes to town. This one I think should like Iowa State might be able to take care of business. I think Cincinnati's going to look a little better than last year, but I think Iowa State takes care of business.
I completely agree.
After that, you get Colorado at Iowa State. Very interested to see how Colorado is this late in the season because I think this is like what our this is our second game, so we'll see what difference the teams are relative to Big 12 play.
Yeah, and then of course I'm ready for February 22nd. I think this game is going to decide who wins the Big 12.
Hmm.
This is going to be a separation Saturday type of game. Of that, these are I think who are going to be the top two teams in the Big 12 like last year.
Yeah, I can realistically see Iowa State and Houston fighting for that regular season title, and I think Iowa State they're gunning for not just like the Big 12 regular season title, they're gunning for a lot more. But this is step one of that process for them.
Oh yeah,
And we got to end Tuesday, February 25th. Cyclones travel to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. I have no clue how Oklahoma State's going to be at this point of the year. If they look like what they were last year, then I think it should be a relatively easier game. But I've seen the history of us playing in Stillwater, and it's not been very kind.
yeah. Gallagher Iowa depends on if Oklahoma State's good or not. Either way, it's a tough game. You
Hmm.
can't take them lightly.
Yep. And then turn the calendar to March, and we are in the start of March Madness, and we've got a pretty solid slate here. Texas Tech traveling down to Fieldhouse, UCF traveling to TCU, West Virginia heading on the road to BYU, Oklahoma State going to Baylor, and then obviously our big matchup, the big matchup in the Big 12, Arizona. Welcome to Hilton Coliseum.
Bro, this is going to be the CBS game for sure. Like no doubt, they're definitely this might be like this might be a color scheme game.
Yeah, I think I'll have to find that on the Cycles webpage because they did announce like the color scheme, but I believe that's one of them. But I'll have to double check that real quick. Then to finish off conference play, you host BYU. I remember though happened the last time we hosted BYU.
Woo! That was a battle, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
That
And then
that
to
was
end it off,
insane.
you've got Farmageddon Part 2.
Yeah. So yeah, last year, as you know, we lost this game because at that point we were coming off a hellish run, and we were tired. So everyone was sort of worried. We're like, well, do you want to rest your players or whatever? But
Like,
no,
is
we
it
didn't.
worth like going for like? I mean, I get wanting to go for that Big 12 regular season title, but I mean, there's a lot more to the to it than just the regular season title. I know it's a huge accomplishment to win the regular season title. It's also a huge accomplishment to win the tournament title. I know some fans are gonna weigh those differently, but at the end of the day, hardware is hardware,
Exactly.
and March
Uh,
is well March. So
March is March. I'm not gonna discount uh, tournament titles and regular season titles like K
yeah.
State fans and KU fans do.
Hmm. All right, so I've got the color schemes actually loaded up. I'm looking at here. So this is what we have for color schemes. So you
Oh,
start.
Marquette's the whiteout game. Okay.
Um, just so you know, Tyler, there's more than one whiteout game this
Oh,
season.
okay.
Yeah, so you start out Mississippi Valley State, Stripe Hilton. I don't think this is gonna really work. This is always funny to see, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah, obviously Marquette's gonna be the big whiteout. I cannot wait to see what time they announce this game because I need to know to figure out like how like just to figure out like when people are gonna watch. I hope this is like a prime like like
That'll
slot.
probably be like 7 or 8 p.m.
Oh, dude, I'd probably take an 8 p.m. I wouldn't be too mad about it because this is the week before Dead Week, so I think
Oh, okay.
yeah, I think we'll be okay. Anyways, obviously conference play, and here is the second whiteout game of the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very interesting
K
choice to put this
State.
one, but I can see why, depending on how these two teams are heading into that game. Then you got Cincinnati, which is your color cardinal game,
Yep.
and then Arizona on CBS. It's gonna go. It's
Oh,
gonna be our
Gold
goal.
Rules game. Yes. Yes.
And speaking of gold rules, those new gold unis are definite step up from the last rendition. The script cyclones, I do love the little trim of cardinal on the gold base.
I mean, that's just genius from that with them doing a basketball football matchup. I was like,
Hmm.
the helmet. Interesting. That
Yeah.
was great.
Yep. And then BYU is going to be in the stripe Hilton. So yeah, that's going to be your color schemes, and very exciting to see. I'm going to check. I wonder if the women have anything color scheme related. If I don't think they have, yeah, they haven't announced their things yet, but we'll see at some point. But yeah, that's the so that was a wild ride at the Big 12 conference slate for the entire league, and we can now shift our attention from basketball to football. That's what I
Yes,
wanted to talk
that's what
about.
you came here for, but we had to do a little bit of basketball because that was just some breaking news.
Hmm.
Yeah, all right, Cody. We're going into Houston. How you feeling about this?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good about this game. I mean, some people are gonna have different reactions to how Houston look. I mean, the duality Houston, they went from playing well against Oklahoma 2 weeks ago to getting blanked by Cincinnati. And I'm thinking now maybe that Oklahoma game showed I think that showed not as much as like we expected like initially reacting because how Oklahoma looked after that game, especially with what they put up against Tennessee. Honestly, I think that says more about Oklahoma than it did about Houston.
Oh no, it says a lot more about Oklahoma than it does Houston. They just changed their quarterback to their backup for Auburn. So I think it's gonna be probably a week to week basis. But I mean that offense is in trouble. Like that offense is not
Mhm.
good without a viable quarterback.
Yeah. And speaking of quarterbacks, I know Houston is so one of their quarterbacks is Donovan Smith, and for cycle fans of the past few years, that name might be familiar because he was the quarterback behind the Texas Tech team who beat Iowa State in Lubbock when the kicker, I don't remember his name, but the kicker hit like a 64-yard field goal to walk it off essentially. So that name might be a little familiar, but ever since that Texas Tech game, Donovan Smith has regressed greatly. Look at his stats right now. He's a 62 of 95 pass attempts with 610 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 picks.
Yeah, I think this secondary has a chance to have a huge game. I'm really excited, and I think this defense will be able to get pressure on him and make him more become more an erratic type of guy.
Hmm. Yeah, and if you are a betting man, the line is actually moves for this game. So initially, the line opened up Iowa State as a 13-point favorite. This is on ESPN. They are now saying that Iowa State is a 16-point favorite against the Cougars.
Wow. So Vegas must have something that we don't know. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, if you're really confident betting man, you could say that the Iowa State uh, could cover the spread. Um, with my score prediction, I think they will cover the spread.
Yeah.
But like with us, like I know that like Iowa State fans, I know we have been let down before, and that your heart won't let you get excited about this team. But I'm telling you guys, this team is different, bro. Like this team, like usually the letdown would have been last week. Like if we would have came in there and let's say we looked because we did look a little bit off, but we still won by like 45 points. But
Hmm.
like past Matt Campbell teams wouldn't have done that. Like, and you know, last year we lost to Ohio, so like, I mean, embrace this, y'all. Um, there's gonna be actually a ton of Iowa State fans there. Uh, if you listen to a certain podcast that we are both fans of, Brent Bloom is going to be coming down to the game, and there's probably going to be a whole bunch of other Cyclone fans that are going to be down at the game. So hey, if you can find a cheap ticket from Des Moines to Houston, come on and join us. I'll be there. So yeah, if you want to reach out and message me at SciTi Guy, I'll come and meet you. We'll have some beverages together. If I get
Hmm.
something to eat together. But back to the preview. Um, yeah, dude. I think this is going to be a game where I think we're going to see a similar performance in the run game. Maybe not like
Hmm.
200 yards, but getting somewhere close to the 4 to 5 yards per carry range. Because like just Houston is just in a rebuilding stage, so I think we'll be able to get off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, and I mean, I think yeah, you mentioned earlier like previous Matt Campbell teams would have like I think it was something that you mentioned. I think this team this year they have much better mental toughness. That's what's been like preached the longest time, but I think we're actually seeing it with this team because like that 2021 team that I alluded to earlier, they didn't have the mental toughness to eke out a win against Cyhawk when things were going wrong. They just folded, they just gave up. And we saw a similar story in Kinnick Stadium, but this year's team, they were tougher. They obviously Matt Campbell preached like who can play tougher longer, and it clearly was Iowa State, and that was what able to get them the win. And also they opened up like they played like full game. They played for a full 60 minutes against Arkansas State, even when they were up 31-0 at halftime. They kept going. Even when you put like the fifth stringers in, you put like almost a entirely freshman squad in with Connor Mobley, Dylan Lee. They put all those guys in. They still were playing like it was an actual game. They were getting those like live reps. And I think that really is going to be crucial for this Iowa State squad come October, come November, when you're down that tough stretch and you're trying to get to Arlington to get to the Big 12 title, win the Big 12 title, make a college football playoff.
Yeah, man, and like we actually, we've heard that this team has depth. They have depth. We finally are seeing that, man. Like the recruiting is paying off. We've seen a whole bunch of young guys come in here and play. So like now I know like when we are in the nitty gritty come October and February or October, not February, October and November. um, like this team will be ready for it, man. So I'm really, really excited to see where this team goes. So, do you have with that? Do you have anything else on Houston that you think that could be a issue or?
I think one thing that maybe the fan base might be a little like concerned about is the team like overlooking this game because obviously after this week you've got the Baylor game, which is lined up to be something like a special night for Iowa State. Like you're talking about a whiteout, you're talking about like the potential of being 5-0 for the first time in however many years. You've got the drone show. You've got all this like pomp and circumstance going, and I think the fans are a little worried that this team might be overlooking Houston. But from the way that Iowa State prepares and how they usually prepare, they aren't going to overlook Houston. They know they got to take care of things one game at a time. And I mean, even Colin Newell mentioned it. Like he still has that Campbell mantra of like, yeah, we just focus on the next opponent. We like focus on who's in front of us. We don't worry about the past. It's like what's in the future. They worry about what's in the present moment. And clearly, Houston is that present moment. So I'm pretty sure Campbell and the rest of the coaching staff is going to have this team locked in and prepared for this Houston game to play Iowa State football and to start out 4-0 and actually like prove it on the field that they should be 4-0 for the first time since 2000. So that was before I was born.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even a fan of football at that point. So, but like, I mean, one thing I will say, this team has hunger. Like, I can see it in their eyes. I can sense it. This team is hungry, bro. Like they want to go out there to prove that in this new Big 12 that you need to be talking about Iowa State. Like, yeah, you can talk about K State, you can talk about Oklahoma State, but hey, you may forget about Iowa State, but you gonna remember when you come out on that field about the Cyclones, bro.
Mhm.
I think they're gonna take care of business, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do score predictions. What do you think?
I mean, for me, if Iowa State comes out and how they were against Arkansas State, they keep that momentum. I think this might be a long day for the Cougars, and I'm thinking Iowa State can get up and put up a few. They could put up a few scores, so I'm thinking they're gonna win this game like 35. Let's go 35-17, perhaps.
Okay, so you still have them covering. Yeah, I have them covering, winning 31-14.
So
So
that'll still be covering as well. Yeah, I think Iowa State will crack 30 points.
I would say we'll definitely crack 30 points. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that
Uh,
defense of Iowa State. See like how this I think the D line will they might be able to feast. I mean, I don't think Donovan Smith's gonna go throw against that secondary. They're gonna try to run the ball, and I think Iowa State is gonna be prepared for that. Because I mean,
they're stout, and one thing they did do is get pressure last week, so he's going to be running for his life.
got to see how those linebackers play. 'Cause, man, I'm very excited to see where those linebackers how they develop.
It's also going to be interesting to see like what the timeline's going to be for when McLaughlin comes back. Maybe we'll get to see him this Saturday.
hmm Who knows?
We shall see. All right, Cody. We are going to, as we always do, look at the upcoming Big 12 games. So could you put that up for us, please?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a moment here. So obviously, outside of our game, there's quite a few games of interest that I'm going to be looking at here. The big one that stands out to me the most is going to be this Oklahoma K State game. Now, if you were to tell me like before the season that Oklahoma K State Week 5 would have essentially been an elimination game for one or even both of these teams, you would have had to call me crazy. But
Yeah, I would have called you crazy. That's nuts, man.
yeah, but here we are. Oklahoma State putting up a stinker against Utah, and K State getting absolutely shell shocked by the BYU Cougars in Provo at night.
Yeah, this is gonna be one team's gonna be like, dang, maybe we're not as good as we thought. And this one, I definitely expect K State to bounce back since they're playing at home.
Yeah, I think honestly, K State they're gonna knock Oklahoma State out like early. Like Oklahoma State's gonna be knocked out of the Big 12 title race, knocked out of playoff contention like after this week because Ollie Gordon, man, what has happened to that run game? Ollie Gordon, he has regressed. Now, I think a lot of this does have to go with the offensive scheme and how his O line hasn't been able to provide Ollie Gordon holes to really run and to exploit. But man, his production has sharply dropping off from last year when he was considered a Heisman finalist last year or in the contention to win the Heisman last year. And he was coming into it as a potential Heisman winner. And now his stock is completely plummeted.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see, but hey, it bodes well for us. So
Yep. And then BYU traveling to Waco to take on Baylor. I saw this tweet about something like about the religious affiliations with these two schools. It just cracked me up a little bit. I'm
the
not gonna
Mormons
lie.
versus the Baptists, yeah.
Cracked me up. That I don't know why that cracked me up, but it did. Then you've got TCU at Kansas. Now, something about this Kansas team, not only have they been looking bad, apparently they didn't even have written documentation of playing games at Arrowhead Stadium 72 hours before this game.
Dude, this whole situation is such a mess. Like, I don't understand how you as a athletic director don't have this stuff set in stone like before the season starts, because now you're sort of just fumbling around at the last minute. I don't get how you can have this type of incompetence.
Yeah, because I remember I thought they had this like they were in talks with this back in January when the new year hit. They were already in plans. So I would have thought maybe around that time or like I don't know by like March, like spring break, they would have had like this in documentation. But I guess they didn't. I mean, that just goes to show you the chaos that's going on at Kansas this year.
It's unreal, man. And I think this is going to be the probably the most fun matchup that we have is Colorado UCF. They said the line for UCF is 14. I I would bet for Colorado to maybe cover that spread, and I would definitely hammer the over in that game
Mm-hmm.
because neither of these teams can stop anyone. So that one is going to be a shootout.
Yeah, and this is the one. This is the one that's going to get a lot of coverage. This is the big new kickoff game. They're traveling down to Orlando. They're going to the bounce house, and big new kickoff is going to be live from the bounce house.
Wow. Yeah, that's gonna be a raucous atmosphere. Bounce house is crazy, bro. We saw it during the space game last year against Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
crazy down there.
I think I don't know. Did UCF? I feel like UCF might have announced like what uniforms they were wearing. They might have. I need to check this to make sure because I know they always have like some
Yeah,
crazy.
their social media came out with jerseys. They're
Oh,
now they're gold and black.
yeah, so their uniforms are they're gonna have the black helmet with like gold, I think white and gold trim. They're gonna have black jerseys with white numbers with gold trim, and they're gonna be wearing the white pants. I
Ah, okay.
I can always appreciate UCF. They have good taste in uniforms, so
They
that's one
sure
thing I
do.
give UCF. Yeah. So after that, got our game in the 6 p.m. window. The 7 p.m. window is going to be Cincinnati at Texas Tech. I just know this is going to be a battle of either Skyline Tortilla or Skyline Chili or just a bunch of tortillas. I need to see. I just need to see like a tailgate full of just Cincinnati fans, Texas Tech fans throwing up Skyline Chili and tortillas.
And also look for this one. The winner of this game might be a dark horse to watch out. Because both these teams we play within the next 3 to 5 weeks or 3 to 6 weeks. So I mean, this is going to be a good scouting game to
Mm-hmm.
see where we stand.
Yeah, and then at 9:15, we've got ourselves some Big 12 after dark, or you can unofficially still call this Pac 12 after dark because it's Arizona playing at Utah and Rice Eccles Stadium. So call it Big 12 after dark, Pac 12 after dark, whatever you want to call it. But I always love these after dark games.
Yeah, I love these, dude. Utah is a 9.5 point favorite. I would um, definitely pick Arizona to cover the spread, especially
Interesting.
with I don't know if I'm basically just saying this because I don't think Cam Rising is going to be back. I think we're going to see Wilson for a while, so that's why I'm saying that look for Arizona to cover the spread.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and then just gonna real quick, we can gloss over some like other matchups. I mean, right now you got Army at Temple going on. Tomorrow you're gonna have Virginia Tech at Miami. Miami's looking to be like the top dog in the ACC, and I think
yep.
the ACC needs like actual top dog that plays competently. Otherwise, they basically look like a G5 because obviously Florida State's disastrous season. Yeah, NC State being an absolute disaster this year relative to what they had
Jeez.
last year. So it's got to
Yeah.
be either Miami or Clemson for the ACC. They need somebody to be like a top dog and a top contender. Otherwise, they're not looking. It's not looking good for the ACC.
Well, yeah, and it looks like it's shaping up to be Miami versus Clemson, like everybody thought. So
Mm-hmm.
it's good for them.
Yep. And then we got some other matchups here. Kentucky at Ole Miss. I'm expecting Ole Miss to absolutely wipe the floor with Kentucky.
Yeah, it depends on which Kentucky team shows up. Let's talk about underrated game, dude. Maryland versus Indiana is going to be a great game with Kurt Signetti with that Indiana offense. They've been a machine.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is their first 4-0 start
That's
in a
crazy.
while. Like so, I mean, can you imagine if Indiana moves to 5-0? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, Indy. Yeah, they've got something going on in Bloomington, and I think they might be channeling like some of like that basketball, like the old basketball spirit from
Right?
Indiana into football. So yeah, I mean Nebraska definitely gonna look for a rebound at Purdue. So Nebraska wants to rebound from that loss against Illinois. So they're gonna look to get back on track. They'll look to get back on track and be 4-1.
If you live
Yeah.
close, the tickets are $7.
Yeah. Wait. Did you see our like I saw our tickets? They were $5. Like the lows were $5. So
Bro, nobody goes to Houston games.
that's fair. Yeah, they're a pro team. They're a pro sports team
They're
in
a
the
pro
city.
sports city, yeah.
Anyways, take a look at some other matchups here. Louisville at Notre Dame is going to be a ranked matchup. Now, I don't know how to feel about this one. Notre Dame seems a little like too one dimensional. They really don't have like.
Yeah, I don't know, but I like every time when everybody like will like doubt Notre Dame, these are the type of games that they win.
Mm-hmm,
So I'm picking Notre Dame in this one. Arkansas A&M at Jerry World is going to be very, very fun. There's always something weird and kooky in that game. So
mm-hmm,
that one's gonna be interesting.
mm-hmm. You've got your version of the greatest rivalry in college basketball. This time on the gridiron, North Carolina Duke. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I think Duke wins. North Carolina can't stop anybody. Week, they gave up 70 points.
The JMU.
70 to James Madison, dude.
Yep. Um,
Unreal.
yeah, Texas looking to continue their dominant run. Like they're clearly the number one team in the country as of right now. So
They're
I
not
don't
going to
think that
get
changes with
tested. Yeah.
Mississippi State. I mean, Mississippi State, you give up 41 points to Toledo. What makes me think that you're going to be able to stop Texas? Like, let's be real here. 37 and a half is the line. I honestly think
Jeez.
with how Mississippi State looks, I might be pushing, but Texas could cover that.
Texas will cover that probably by halftime.
Oh yeah, I might put Yeah, I don't know who they got like other than Archman because I think Quinn Ewers is still out.
Yeah, he's out gonna be out for a while, and with Arch Manning playing well, they ain't gonna take him out.
Oh yeah, Ohio State just continuing to go on a warpath in the Big Ten.
That game is going to be ugly. Good thing that's on. Is that on Peacock?
Yeah, that's a Peacock game.
Yeah, thank God, because
I would not want a national audience to watch that. This is going to be the big matchup of the weekend. It's going to be Georgia going to Bryant Denny Stadium to take on Kalen DeBoer and the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is basically a pick 'em. Georgia's only a 1 point favorite. That's basically pick 'em if you ask me.
guys, I know, we're conference loyal and only watch the Big 12. I mean, I'm not conference loyal. I will watch any game if it's good, and also I was a former team of a former fan of a team in the SEC, but Alabama Georgia is going to be much watch TV. So y'all just tune in.
Yeah, like this is looking to be a solid lineup of college football. Then on NBC, you've got Illinois traveling to Penn State. See, Illinois, I don't know, was it Bielema? They're looking pretty solid.
Yeah, but they said that this might be a semi-whiteout game for Penn State, so I think Penn State will win this game going away.
Yeah, yeah, it's at night too, so that's gonna be tough for Illinois.
Especially with Mo Bamba popping on like that first drive.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
yeah, that's not gonna be fun for them. Yeah.
South Alabama LSU. I think this is the reason why it's over under is 65.5 is because LSU can score, but can they stop anybody? Like South
Mm.
Alabama can score. South Alabama went into Boone last week and destroyed Appalachian State. So I expect for them to score points in this game against LSU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then taking a look here, maybe technically you can technically call this Pac. At this point, yeah, I might as well just call this also Pac-12 after
Pac-12 after
dark.
dark, yeah.
Yeah, because what I think Boise State. Like, did you like hear about like all the realignment news? Like, who the Pac-12 is fleecing from the Mountain West? That's wild.
They're basically getting all the schools that end in state.
At this point, yeah. So I mean, Washington State and Boise State. That should be a fun one. With how Washington State looks this year, this should be a really fun game. No wonder they have it at 65 and a
I
half.
mean,
Because
yeah, this might determine who gets the bid for the group of five. I mean, a lot of people have said that Boise State is the best group of five team out there. It sort of proved it. I mean, they were a score away from beating Oregon
yeah,
at
I think they
Oregon.
only
So
lost by like they lost only off a walk off field goal. Yeah, they only lost like off of a walk off field goal, and they could easily won the game. They actually outplayed Oregon. Outside of those like two special teams touchdowns for Oregon, Boise State was dominating Oregon.
completely agree, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how they fare.
Yeah. So yeah, buckle up, everybody. This day is looking to be a pretty fun, another fun day of college football, and I think we're going to start seeing some of the contenders like split away from the pretenders. There's still going to be room for chaos, and I mean, we're going to see if some teams are for real or if they're putting on a facade.
Also, just an advertising thing for our conference. If you want to watch fun football, tune into the Big 12. The Big 12 basically is a conference of chaos, and it has lived up to that moniker. It's been much like last week was just insane, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I look for that to happen again this week. So and once again, if you are going to Houston, uh, come meet up with me or message me on Twitter at Side Tie Guy. And once again, we can be reached out. He can be reached out at Matt Campbell. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's at Side Tie Guy. Follow us on our social media pages at Bleav in Iowa State, BLEAV on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So we thank you for joining us. This is our game preview slash basketball schedule preview, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna do that once basketball season starts up again. So watch out for that in November. But we just wanted to do that today. This is your Houston preview. So for Tyler Carter,
And from Cody Van Celalum.
This is the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. Go Cyclones.